My friend's boyfriend stole a priceless family heirloom and gave it to me for my birthday. It was a crisp autumn evening when I gathered with my closest friends to celebrate my 26th birthday. We had chosen our usual spot, a cozy little bistro tucked away in a quiet corner of the city, known for its warm ambience and delicious comfort food. The place was perfect for our small group, providing an intimate setting where we could laugh, share stories, and enjoy each other's company without the hustle and bustle of larger venues. The bistro was softly lit, with fairy lights strung across the ceiling and candles flickering on each table, casting a warm, golden glow. The aroma of freshly baked bread and simmering stew filled the air, mingling with the sound of soft jazz playing in the background. It was the kind of place where time seemed to slow down, allowing us to savor every moment of the evening. My friends and I had known each other for years, having met during various stages of our lives, some from university, others through mutual acquaintances. We had formed a tight-knit group, supporting each other through thick and thin. There was an unspoken understanding among us, a mutual respect and affection that made our gatherings special. We had developed a tradition when it came to birthday celebrations. Our gifts were always thoughtful but modest, reflecting our shared understanding of each other's financial situations. Most of us were young professionals or grad students, juggling careers, studies, and sometimes both. The gifts we exchanged were typically in the 10 to 40 euro range, a book, a voucher for theater tickets, or perhaps a nice bottle of wine. It was never about the monetary value but the sentiment behind the gesture. As I looked around the table, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the friends who had become my second family. There was Emma, my best friend since university. At 26, she was a vivacious and spirited individual, always the life of the party. With her curly blonde hair and infectious laugh, Emma had a knack for making everyone around her feel at ease. She worked as a graphic designer, her creativity evident in everything she did. Emma had a kind heart and a fierce loyalty to those she cared about, making her the glue that held our group together. Next to her sat Jason, 27, a software engineer with a quiet demeanor but a sharp wit. Jason was the problem solver of the group, always ready with a solution or a piece of advice. His dark hair and glasses gave him an intellectual appearance, which matched his personality perfectly. Despite his reserved nature, Jason had a dry sense of humor that never failed to catch us off guard, resulting in fits of laughter at the most unexpected moments. Then there was Sarah, 26, a fellow grad student who shared my love for literature and history. Sarah was thoughtful and introspective, with an uncanny ability to read people and situations. Her auburn hair and green eyes gave her an ethereal quality, and she often seemed lost in her own world of books and ideas. Despite this, Sarah was incredibly empathetic, always ready to lend an ear or offer a comforting word. And finally, there was Alex, my good friend who had brought along her boyfriend, Mark, for the first time. Alex, also 26, was a social worker with a passion for helping others. She had a bubbly personality and an infectious energy that brightened any room she entered. Her long, brown hair and warm smile were as welcoming as her nature. Alex had been dating Mark for about a year, and while we hadn't spent much time with him yet, she often spoke highly of him. Mark, 28, was an enigma to most of us. He was a freelance photographer, often struggling to find steady work, which led to some financial instability. With his rugged good looks, dark hair, and piercing blue eyes, Mark had an air of mystery about him. He was charming and personable, but there was an underlying restlessness in his demeanor, as if he were constantly searching for something just out of reach. As the evening progressed, we enjoyed a delicious meal, accompanied by laughter and heartfelt conversations. The table was soon filled with small, neatly wrapped gifts, each one a testament to our shared understanding of each other's tastes and interests. I had received a beautifully illustrated book from Emma, a handmade candle from Sarah, and a thoughtful card from Jason with a voucher for my favorite bookstore. When it came time for Alex to present her gift, she handed me a small package with a sheepish smile. "This is from both of us," she said, nodding towards Mark. I opened it to find a lovely bracelet, delicate and simple, perfectly suited to my style. I thanked them both, genuinely touched by the thoughtfulness of their gift. However, Mark surprised me by handing me another gift, separate from Alex's. It was a small object, carefully wrapped in plain paper. "This is from me," he said with a smile. "I hope you like it." I unwrapped the gift, revealing a beautiful antique trinket. It was a small, intricately designed item that instantly reminded me of a recent trip I had taken to my mother's home country in winter. I was genuinely moved by the gesture, thanking Mark warmly for the thoughtful gift. Little did I know that this seemingly innocent present would soon unravel a series of unexpected events, leading to revelations and decisions that none of us could have anticipated. As the night drew to a close and I returned home, I couldn't help but replay the evening's events in my mind. It had been a wonderful birthday celebration, filled with the warmth and laughter that only good friends could bring. Yet, as I unpacked the gifts I had received, one particular present stood out, the antique trinket from Mark. Its exquisite design had caught my eye the moment I unwrapped it, but now, in the quiet of my apartment, it seemed to demand even more of my attention. I placed the small item on my coffee table, its intricate details illuminated by the soft light of my reading lamp. The craftsmanship was remarkable, unlike anything I had seen before. Certain elements, such as the delicate engravings and the lustrous finish, hinted at its age and potential value. The more I looked at it, the more questions arose in my mind. Where had Mark found such a unique piece? And why would he choose to give me something that seemed far more valuable than our usual range of gifts? I picked up the trinket again, turning it over in my hands. There was something about the way the light played off its surface, especially the parts that looked like they should be glass but weren't. It was almost as if the object had a story of its own to tell, a history that was waiting to be uncovered. I noticed a small maker's mark on the bottom, an intricate symbol that seemed almost familiar, though I couldn't quite place it. My curiosity now fully piqued, I decided to do a bit of research. I grabbed my laptop and settled onto the couch, determined to find out more about this mysterious gift. I started by searching for the maker's mark, hoping it would lead me to some answers. The first few results were vague, offering little information beyond general descriptions of antique symbols. But then, after several minutes of scrolling and clicking through links, I found a match. The symbol belonged to a renowned artisan from the 19th century, famous for creating high-quality, handcrafted items. The trinket, it seemed, was not just any antique, it was a piece of historical significance, likely worth a considerable amount of money. My heart skipped a beat as I read on, absorbing the details of the artisan's legacy and the value of his works. The more I learned, the more astonished I became. I found an online auction site that listed similar items by the same artisan, with prices ranging from several hundred to several thousand euros. My mind raced as I tried to process the information. Could it be that the trinket Mark had given me was worth that much? It seemed unbelievable, and yet the evidence was right in front of me. To be sure, I searched for the exact item, using keywords that described its specific features. After what felt like an eternity, I found a match. My breath caught in my throat as I stared at the screen. There it was, the exact same trinket, listed for 750 euros. I blinked, hoping I had made a mistake, but the details were unmistakable. A wave of mixed emotions washed over me, disbelief, confusion, and a growing sense of unease. Why would Mark give me something so expensive? It was wildly inappropriate, especially considering our group's unspoken agreement about modest gifts. Moreover, knowing that Mark was often financially strained made the situation even more perplexing. Had he really spent this much money on a gift for me? And if so, why? I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The more I thought about it, the more it didn't make sense. I considered the possibility that Mark might not have known the true value of the item, but that seemed unlikely. The trinket was clearly special, and its worth would have been apparent to anyone who had handled it. The implications of the gift were troubling. I valued my friendship with Alex deeply, and the last thing I wanted was for something like this to cause problems between us. I knew I needed to talk to her about it, but I wasn't sure how to approach the subject. What if she didn't know about the gift's value? Or worse, what if she did and it led to a confrontation between them? As I sat there, turning these thoughts over in my mind, I felt a knot of anxiety forming in my stomach. I couldn't ignore the situation, but I also didn't want to jump to conclusions without more information. The only thing I knew for certain was that I needed to get to the bottom of this, for my own peace of mind and for the sake of my friendship with Alex. I decided to sleep on it, hoping that some clarity might come with the morning. But as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind refused to rest. The image of the trinket kept flashing before my eyes, a constant reminder of the questions that still needed answers. The next day, I reached out to Alex, asking if we could meet up. I didn't mention the gift in my message, wanting to talk to her in person. She agreed, and we planned to meet at a cafe later that afternoon. As I prepared for our conversation, I felt a mixture of dread and determination. I needed to handle this delicately, but I also needed to be honest with her about my concerns. When we met, Alex greeted me with her usual warmth and energy, but I could tell something was on her mind as well. After some small talk, I took a deep breath and brought up the gift. I explained how I had researched the trinket and discovered its significant value, and watched as her expression shifted from curiosity to shock. €750? She repeated, her eyes wide with disbelief. Are you sure? I nodded, showing her the listing I had found online. Alex stared at the screen, then back at me, clearly processing the information. I had no idea, she said finally. I don't even know what to say. We sat in silence for a moment, both of us grappling with the implications. Alex's face was a mix of confusion and concern. Mark has never been great with money, she admitted, but I don't understand why he would do this.
Neither do I said quietly.
And that's why I think we need to talk to him. Together. Alex agreed, and we made a plan to confront Mark that evening. As we parted ways, I felt a sense of resolve. Whatever the explanation, we needed to uncover the truth. The trinket, with all its historical significance and unexpected value, had brought us to a crossroads, and there was no turning back now. We spent the next hour discussing how to frame our questions, aiming to keep the conversation as neutral as possible initially. Our plan was to start by asking Mark about the origins of the gift, hoping he would offer some insight without feeling cornered. But we also agreed that if his answers didn't add up, we would press him for the truth. As the time for the confrontation approached, I felt a growing sense of anxiety. Confrontations were never easy, and this one had the potential to fracture our friendship and cause serious issues in Alex's relationship. But we both knew that we couldn't ignore the situation any longer. Mark arrived at Alex's apartment around 7 p.m., oblivious to the storm that was about to unfold. He greeted us with his usual charm, but I could sense an underlying tension in his demeanor. We all sat down in the living room, and after some initial small talk, Alex and I exchanged a glance, signaling that it was time to begin. Mark, Alex started, her voice calm but firm, there's something we need to talk to you about. It's about the gift you gave to my name, for her birthday. Mark's expression shifted slightly, a hint of apprehension crossing his features. Oh, the trinket? Did she like it? I took a deep breath and spoke up. It's a beautiful gift, Mark. But I did some research and found out that it's worth a lot of money. Around €750, in fact. Mark's eyes widened slightly, but he quickly masked his surprise. Really? I had no idea. Alex leaned forward, her tone more urgent now. Mark, where did you get the trinket? We need to know the truth. For a moment, Mark looked like he was going to evade the question, but then he sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. All right, I didn't exactly buy it. I took it from my parents' house. I felt a jolt of shock, and from the look on Alex's face, she was equally stunned. You stole it? She asked, her voice trembling with a mix of disbelief and anger. It wasn't like that, Mark said quickly. I didn't think it was a big deal. My mom has so many antiques lying around, I thought she wouldn't miss one little trinket. I just wanted to give my name something nice for her birthday. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Mark, that trinket is worth a lot more than just a nice birthday gift. It has historical and sentimental value. Your mom must be worried sick about where it went. Mark looked genuinely remorseful now. I didn't realize it was that important. I just wanted to do something special. The room fell silent for a moment as we all processed his confession. The air was thick with tension, and I could see the pain in Alex's eyes. She turned to Mark, her voice breaking. How could you do this, Mark? You know how much we've struggled financially, and you go and take something so valuable without even telling me? Mark reached out to her, but she pulled away, tears welling up in her eyes. I'm sorry, Alex. I really am. I just thought. I don't know what I thought. I messed up. I felt a mixture of anger and sympathy. Mark's actions were reckless and thoughtless, but I could see that he hadn't intended to cause harm. Still, the damage was done, and there was no easy way to fix it. The next morning, I felt a mix of apprehension and determination as I prepared to return the heirloom to Mark's mother. Alex had arranged the meeting, and I could sense her anxiety about the upcoming confrontation. We met at my apartment, where the trinket still sat on my coffee table, an object that had caused so much turmoil in such a short time. Alex and I arrived at Mark's parents' home, a quaint and well-kept house that exuded warmth and history. The front garden was meticulously maintained, with blooming flowers and a neatly trimmed hedge. It was clear that Mark's mother took great pride in her home, which only added to my guilt about the situation. We were greeted at the door by Mark's mother, Mrs. Thompson, a gracious woman in her late 50s. She had an air of dignity and kindness that immediately put me at ease, despite the circumstances. Her eyes, however, betrayed a hint of sadness and worry. Thank you for coming, she said, her voice calm but tinged with emotion. Please, come in. We followed her into the living room, a cozy space filled with antique furniture and family photographs. It was easy to see that this was a home steeped in history and love. Mrs. Thompson gestured for us to sit on the plush sofa while she took a seat in an armchair across from us. "I understand you have something to return to me," she said gently, her eyes focused on the wrapped parcel in my hands. "Yes, Mrs. Thompson," I replied, my voice steady despite my nervousness. "This trinket belongs to you. I'm so sorry for any distress this has caused." I carefully unwrapped the item and handed it to her. She took it with reverence, her eyes welling up with tears as she examined it closely. "This belonged to my great-great-great-grandmother," she said softly, her voice breaking slightly. "It has been passed down through generations in our family. I can't thank you enough for returning it." Her words hung in the air, heavy with the weight of history and sentiment. Alex and I exchanged a glance, both of us feeling the profound significance of the moment. Mrs. Thompson placed the trinket on the table beside her and took a deep breath. "Would you like some tea?" she offered, clearly trying to compose herself. We accepted, and she left the room briefly to prepare the tea. When she returned, she carried a tray with a delicate china teapot, cups, and a plate of biscuits. We each took a cup and settled back into our seats. As we sipped our tea, Mrs. Thompson began to share stories about her family and the cultural heritage tied to the heirloom. She spoke of her ancestors, their journey to this country, and the challenges they faced. Her eyes sparkled with pride as she recounted tales of resilience and strength, each story adding layers of meaning to the trinket that had caused so much trouble. Listening to her, I felt a deep sense of respect and admiration for the history she carried with her. It was clear that the trinket was more than just an object, it was a symbol of her family's legacy and identity. "I can't tell you how much this means to me," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "This heirloom is a tangible connection to my past, and having it back where it belongs is more than I could have hoped for." As we left Mrs. Thompson's home, I felt a mixture of relief and introspection. The heirloom had been returned, and in doing so, we had helped preserve a piece of history that was deeply meaningful to her and her family. But the experience had also given me much to reflect upon. I thought about the implications of the incident for my friendship with Alex. This ordeal had tested our bond in ways I hadn't anticipated. It has forced us to confront uncomfortable truths and navigate a delicate situation with care and honesty. But it also strengthened our friendship, proving that we could rely on each other in times of crisis. The incident also made me reconsider my views on trust and materialism. Trust is a fragile thing, easily broken but difficult to repair. Mark's actions had been a betrayal of that trust, not only to his mother but to Alex and me as well. It made me realize how important it is to be mindful of the impact our actions can have on others, especially those we care about. Materialism, too, took on a new meaning in light of this experience. The trinket, while valuable in monetary terms, held far greater significance because of its history and the stories it represented. It reminded me that the true value of an object often lies not in its material worth, but in the memories and connections it embodies. As I walked home, I felt a sense of closure. Returning the heirloom had been the right thing to do, and it had brought a measure of peace to all involved. The experience had been a challenging one, but it had also offered valuable lessons about integrity, respect, and the enduring power of family and friendship. In the end, I knew that this incident would stay with me for a long time, not as a source of regret, but as a reminder of the importance of doing the right thing, even when it's difficult. It had shown me the strength of my friendships, the importance of honesty, and the profound connections that tie us to our past and shape our future. The experience of receiving an unexpectedly expensive gift and the subsequent journey to uncover its origins and return it to its rightful owner taught me profound lessons about trust, integrity, and the true value of material possessions. Firstly, the incident highlighted the delicate nature of trust in relationships. Trust is a foundational element that binds friendships, romantic relationships, and familial bonds. Mark's actions, although seemingly well-intentioned, constituted a serious breach of this trust. By taking something valuable from his mother without permission and giving it to me, he not only betrayed his mother's trust but also put Alex and our friendship in a precarious position. This incident underscored that trust, once broken, is difficult to rebuild and that our actions, even when done without malice, can have far-reaching consequences on those we care about. Secondly, the situation reaffirmed the importance of integrity and honesty. When I discovered the true value of the trinket, I was faced with a dilemma. It would have been easy to ignore the implications and simply enjoy the gift, but doing so would have been morally wrong. Instead, I chose to confront the issue head-on, involving Alex and eventually Mark's mother. This decision was not easy, but it was the right thing to do. Integrity often requires us to take difficult and uncomfortable actions, but maintaining honesty and transparency is crucial for fostering genuine and lasting relationships. Moreover, this experience also made me reevaluate the concept of materialism and the true worth of objects. The trinket, while monetarily valuable, held far greater significance due to its historical and sentimental value. It was not just an expensive antique, it was a cherished family heirloom, a tangible connection to the past, and a symbol of cultural heritage. This realization helped me understand that the real value of possessions often lies in the stories and memories they carry, rather than their monetary worth. It reminded me that the most meaningful gifts are those that come from the heart and have a personal significance, rather than those that come with a hefty price tag. Finally, the ordeal reinforced the strength of my friendship with Alex. Navigating this challenging situation together showed us both that we could rely on each other in times of crisis. It proved that open communication and mutual support are essential in overcoming difficulties and maintaining strong, healthy relationships. Despite the initial shock and betrayal, our friendship emerged stronger, built on a foundation of trust and mutual respect. In conclusion, the incident with the extravagant gift served as a powerful reminder of the importance of trust, integrity, and the true value of material possessions. It taught me that honesty and transparency are crucial in maintaining healthy relationships and that the most valuable things in life are often those that money cannot buy. This experience, though challenging, offered invaluable lessons that will guide me in my future interactions and decisions, reinforcing the significance of doing the right thing, even when it is difficult.